Okay, councillors, special greetings to the Madam Mayor, to the Executive Deputy Mayor, MACOM members, MPET Chairperson, all councillors present, to the Municipal Manager, all officials present, greetings to the public and those that are joining us online. Today is the 17th of March, 2026, and the time is 1. This is a special meeting agenda. Item number 1 is opening, which will ask Councillor Seti to open for us with a prayer.
Close our eyes. Awengceleso inkosi yethu Jesu Kristu Thixo sikwelanga Nkosi silapha kulona amandla sisinkokheli moyingcweleyo. Siyakumema ukuzenzisana zonke izinto ezizawuthethwa kule ndawo Nkosi yam ube yingxenye Nkosi. In Jesus' mighty name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councillor. Item number 2 is the attendance register, which I believe it has circulated and everyone has signed. Number 3 is application for leave of absence. I receive an apology from Councillor Energy Brain, and also Councillor Mhlana is joining us online. Councillor Mhlana? Councillor Mhlana, are you there?
No, it's not.
Could you send the link to him? Okay, he will join us. Then number 4 is the declaration of interest by councillors. Any councillor who would like to declare anything? No one. Item number 5 is the statements and communication by the Executive Mayor and the Speaker. Madam Mayor, I have none on my side. Speaker. Thank you. Item number 6 is presentation, which we have none. Item number 7 is consideration of reports. Can the administration take us through?
Zero 3/26, 2026-2027 cost of supply study and electricity tariff design report, and we're on page 8.
Item 7, Councillor Seti.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and greetings to all of one that is here in the room today. And mine is just to put this on record. Speaker, I just want to raise my dissatisfaction of the absence of the officials in my report back meeting last week. I have requested maybe 5 of them to come and report, because in these report back meetings, it is them that they know what is going on in the offices, and then I invite them to be there so that people should raise the questions to them, because we may not know better than them, because they're in the offices, they know everything. In the case of the tariffs and all the stuff, Mr. Zinto was there. I was happy because they were posing questions straight direct to him. So I am really not happy about that. I'm really, really not happy about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Seti, MM. You must admit it when there's a report back meeting for the councillors, so that all your officials to be present, so that they can answer the questions of the community. Councillor Mangaba.
Thank you, Speaker. Just to reiterate the importance of the slogan that we want to carry, being best together. What Councillor Seti is raising is true, and it's been occurring. It's not once that it's occurred, it's been occurring. It looks to us as though the officials are yoked by the hip to the executive, and whoever is not in the leading coalition bears the brunt. And I am telling you, and I always say this, and this is not a threat, I am in no position of protecting officials that are not there to account for themselves in the communities. You choose not to show up at my meeting, I will lambast you in front of the community. Because at the end of the day, for us to be the best together, I am the agent between the municipality and the communities. If now we're being sabotaged by officials based on the fact that they're actually protected or hiding behind the dresses of the leading coalition, we have a problem. So we got to act with urgency and ensure that people are held accountable. When people are sent invites to report back meetings, they must show up.
Thank you, Councillor Manglaba. Madam Mayor?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think it's simple. I mean, if the junior officials is not available to attend meetings, the directors need to take responsibility for the directorates. I think, I mean, when it comes to the engagement of councillors in public meetings, now the executive have been thrown into the picture. It's simple. If the directors must take responsibility for their departments. There are Section 56 managers accountable to council, and councillors are accountable to their constituencies. So they must see to it, if there's a request from councillors coming, the directors must take responsibility. If they don't see to it that their section managers are there, they must be there. And they must get the relevant information from their section managers if they don't have the answer.
Councillor Tsapai?
I would propose that that meeting of Councillor City must be repeated. We need all the officials in that meeting. It must be called again, so that the community will go there, the councillor will be there, and all the officials, all the questions that will be imposed by the committee members must be answered by the official, the director, manager, everybody, from top to bottom. Because seriously, Speaker, the officials are throwing us under the bus. It's us who are going to go to elections. It's not them. It's not them. While we are employing officials as councillors or as council, and yet they are not doing what they are supposed to do, then therefore we must also do something about it. You see, I imagine a councillor attacked by community members there. So I really don't understand, Speaker. I think we must work together as council here now. And also you must champion that as a speaker, that each and every ward meeting, every official must attend those meetings, because there are technical questions sometimes that needs to be answered by officials. If then officials are not there, the councillor cannot be able to answer those questions. For that matter, we are not part. Ours is to find out that have the IDP been implemented properly, because we only send IDP to the people there. They say what they want, wish list, it comes to council, we approve it. When it goes back to people again, people must say this has not been done, why it has not been done. Who's going to answer that? Not a councillor. It must be an official. And immediately, if it has not happened while it was budgeted for, then the official must suffer the consequences. We can't all the time we're on newspapers that councillors are not working and so on and so forth. It can be. I believe that, Speaker, you must give us overalls also. Because what we want now, we want to be together with those people that are basking in the sun under the trees, who are supposed to be working, who are not working. They must find us there. Because really, it comes back to councillors that what is dirty, whereas there are people who are employed and nothing is happening. Seriously, the item that we are going to deal with, it needs a very thorough participation. If we are going to call those meetings, each and every word, those meetings, the halls must be full. All the officials must be there to explain how is the municipality going to deal with the issue at hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Olivier?
I want to go with the recommendation by the executive mayor.
Which recommendation now?
Items.
I can myself.
Councillor,
Oh, man.
Councillor Tablanche?
So, Yanni and Madam Mayor, I think see there is option 3. Didn't we talk about the option 2 yesterday? I see there's option 3. Are we still under, based on what we've discussed, is it still option 2?
Thank you, Councillor. We discussed that we're going to amend option 2 to the lesser bulk. 3 speakers, sorry.
The item is not read.
Item is not
Can the administration please?
That is why I was shocked. This councillor is serious.
Speaker was actually read in,
This is not a
he had the item which he wanted to discuss urgently, but it was already read in before Councillor Sethi came up. And the other councillors, it was a very relevant thing. It affects all councillors, not only on that side that they discussed. And I think it was a good thing that you stopped them, Councillor Speaker, but the item was actually read.
Administration?
Madam Speaker, the item has been updated as well as the annexure. As Johnny will explain, they have received a revised item. So this is a revised item and annexure that is stable.
Speaker, on a point of order then, if we then received an updated information or figures or anything, this item must have been led by an official to actually give us guidance before we get to vote or we get to go with the recommendations. So that is actually done wrong and it must be rectified. We must be taken through the item again then.
Something else?
Speaker.
Through you, can Mr. Yanni, please take us through the item and explain for us.
Okay, no, thanks, Speaker, Council, the Executive Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, the councillors that are present, as well as the officials that are present, and also the member of public that are present. Speaker, with this item, it's an item that is related to the cost of study that was conducted pertaining to the electricity tariffs for the financial year 26-27 financial year. Speaker, this item, it comes after there were numerous court cases between NERSA as well as the other municipalities in the country. Now, with that, Madam Speaker, this cost of supply study, it's not something that is new. It's something that has been started way back as far as 2021-2022 financial year. Now, this was then a cost of study which was now implemented for the first time in municipalities. Now, we as a municipality, we needed to review the cost of study on a yearly basis. Now, what does it seek to address is to make a determination in terms of the cost that the municipality is incurring in order to supply the electricity services to its consumers. Now, with this study, Speaker, we have used the information pertaining to the first inception, which is the D forms at the time where we submitted for the 21-22. We've also looked at the information pertaining the latest annual audited financial statements. And we have also looked at the first 6 months, which is the mid-year term, which ended on the 31st of December. So therefore, Speaker, with all of those inputs that we have put in that cost of supply study, now the supply study, it actually revealed certain offsets in terms of which options the municipality can now resolve on. But I'm not going to labor on the speaker on the technicalities. I will ask Mr. Felton to take us through on a high level in terms of what does this mean to the municipality, and what does it mean also to the public in terms of these tariffs. I must also mention, Speaker, that in terms of the court cases and the court orders, the municipality is supposed to submit the application to NERSA on or before the 31st of March 2026, and there are certain requirements which are required by NERSA in order for us for our application to be considered. One of them is that we have a council resolution for the tariffs, and then the second one is for the municipality to have embarked on the public participation before our submission of the 31st of March. So we are now, Speaker, in this council pertaining to those requirements in terms of the court order, and then also in terms of the requirements of us. Quickly going to give Mr. Felton to take us through a high level in terms of what does this mean and what options are there, so that the council can be able then to take a resolution. Thanks, Speaker.
Thank you, Director.
I just want to reiterate what the MMS said. We are on a back foot. We are dealing with NERS and ESCOM. We aren't really interacting with any municipality in South Africa. And the policy is now affecting us, our ability to now catch up. But nevertheless, we are now catching up with requirements as far as NERS is concerned, and it's new requirements that are also coming through. So there were a couple of issues. Cost of supplies we have done before. We definitely get a consultant in to do our cost of supply, just like every other municipality does, as a GLS. And GLS, we asked them to look at three options. We asked them to look at three options for different reasons. But at the end of the day, we want to find a good option for our municipality where the resident itself doesn't incur additional costs. So we limited the responsibility on the resident itself. Option three, which GLS did, we actually gave them a guideline on what the maximum paid as far as the increases are concerned, and where we draw off from the various disciplines or as far as obviously when we come up with the options, we've got to now draw off on our own municipalities and our own requirements. So option three, I can ask Yanni to explain option three in its detail and why we think this is the best option for the residents of our municipality.
Thank you, Madam. Speaker, option 2 and option 3, the difference between the two is that in option 3, we simulated lower basic levies, basic fees every month. Instead of allowing the general increase to the basic levies as well, we actually lowered the increase. We can do that because of the type of electricity load we have, because we call it diversity. So the cost that we pay for ESCOM, we do recap with our current tariff structure for that specific expense. So we had extensive discussions yesterday, and we said, let us go and see what the effect will be if we lower those basic levies. So that is where option 2 become option 3. We didn't take option 2 away, it's still there. We just adjust it with lower levies to option 3 to assist the final consumers, but not absorbing the whole ESCOM increase on the basic side of it. Thank you.
Councillor Mangala.
Speaker, with the risk of sounding like I'm retarding the process or taking you back to what our discussion was yesterday, according to Yanni right behind me, he does say they were tasked to go and actually do calculations. Now, I think at this point, it would be best for him to be specific exactly in terms of if he says there's a reduction, how much of it is it? Or if he says we've lowered the increase that was actually cited by or demanded rather by NERSA or powers that be, he can specify it exactly that this much we are going for this option based on the fact that this is how much that we're actually increasing, and it will mean this to our people in terms of rates per rand or per whatever. So before I could actually delve into just my contributions where this item is concerned, I need him to actually give us those basics. I think it's also going to assist the public that is actually watching to understand exactly what the item entails and what these options mean for our people. Understand that from this, we're going to roll out public participation, which will encompass teachings and breakdowns. However, I'm also going to be comfortable going with the recommendations of something that I'm comfortable with, given the fact that he says this exercise was actually a homework that they were given. So meaning we are all sitting in blank.
Thank you. Councillor Tablanche?
I actually just wanted to go into the recommendations and over to the background. We can just go to the background, picked up something there now that it says, stop. The study was conducted by an appointed service provider which submitted report A 1st March 2026. We are not there yet. It says the service provider which submitted the report at 31st March 2026. And from there, we go to the recommendations. We had a timeline in terms of public participation. That timeline is now missing in the recommendations. And that is one of the fears for the public, that we might not be in time, but we're leaving a lot of people there by not saying by the latest when we must be finished with the public participation before we send this item after it's been approved by this council off. See, they might slack in saying, but there's no clear guidance in terms of the public participation. And we can then also help the administration accountable to say, as part of the recommendations, we're supposed to be done and by, let's say, 28 March. And in the absence of such in the other recommendations, they might be reluctant to skip here and there. As much as there's also, it's only 3 communities that, or 4, it's 4 will be consulted in this process. Because the others is ESCOM areas. But versus what we discussed yesterday, that I expected is going to be included in those recommendations, there's a bit, it's skewed. So I would just like to raise that and we can deliberate on the item before we just rush and close. Thank you. Just there on the background, the date and the explanation that's coming now, because yesterday was option 2. Overnight it was amended. Now it states option 3, so I do understand the explanations. But just check on a few that's in that.
Yanni, can you please take us through?
Mr. Speaker, to answer Councillor, the effect between option 2 and option 3 for the impact for municipality is we're going to have 2% less revenue. 2% between 2 and 3, but the consumer also are going to have 2% less increase. This is the main effect of the changes between the 2 options.
You're assisting me, John. I'm partially covered. When you say now the increase will be lowered by almost 3%, this will mean now from a conversation that we had yesterday of 9.1, we'll be sitting at
the overall
7.1.
Oh, no.
That's why I want you to know everything, because this reduction only you understand. I needed to break it down how I would actually be able to explain as well.
Councillor, it's a parcel of items, so there's different increases. So we look at a typical monkey for the size of parcel that the people buy. So although the increase is 12.75 in some instances, in other instances only 6, we look at a combination of all those together that make up the account. So in this case, option 2, the consumer would have paid 15% more. Option 3 is 13%. That's not through all the rates. Remember that the Lifeline doesn't have a basic charge. They only do 10%. The commercial got different different tariffs, so they got a different argument around it. Some of the tariffs are not cost reflective, they got it more. But on a consumer side, the household side, we focus on that portion because this is what we asked for yesterday. What will the effect on the consumers be? The final consumers, what can I buy from 100 Rand? We did that exercise last night, and we see that that was a good effect is 11% given we lower the basic fees. It will differ from every person around, but in overall, over the parcel, this is the calculations we have.
Madam Mayor,
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I think we have the same challenge in the Bitou that the councillors are experiencing now. I will please just think on the page 35, 34, where this new option was calculated so that it can be explained to everyone. From the 4% to the 13% it's where the 3% reduction comes in. But yeah, that's the page showing, I'm not sure if anything or the director wants to add anything because it's precisely the same question that we asked. Yes, this is okay. That's the same thing.
Mr. Felton, can you help us, please?
Thank you. Sorry, Mayor, I was looking at the study, just asking.
No, remember we asked you the same question in the Bitou meeting to say that there's the 4%, yesterday it was 4%, wasn't 30%, correct? And then now you said you went back and you calculated, you reduced the, what you call it, baseline.
Basic charge. Basic charge.
Basic charge by the 2%. And what we also wanted to know from you, what is the effect of that in terms of the overall tariff? Understand? So the councillors want to hear the same.
There is a table of option 3. As it is today, we're going to make a 4% surplus for the municipality. With option 3, we're going to make 11% surplus. That 11% was in option 2, 13%. It's now 11% by lowering the basic charges from 10 to 6%. So although we lower it by 4%, we only gain 2% because of the composition of the tariffs. It's 62 tariffs that is combined together in one amount. You cannot say because you lower it 4%, we're going to lose 4%. We're not going to lose 4%. We only lose 2% by lowering 4%. Income.
Okay, thanks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just wanted maybe to add on what Jan is saying, just to bring clarity also, because I don't want councillors to think that the increase of the electricity is 11%. But I think what is reflected there is the profit, the surplus that will be derived from the selling of the electricity. It will then be 11%. Yesterday, 13% was presented. Now, further, in terms of assisting to, for the basic charge to be much less, then Yanni went back and reperformed the calculation. Hence, now it's coming to about 11%. But that 11% is not the tariff increase that will affect the consumer. It's only a surplus that will be derived from the selling of the electricity. But the tariff increase, in terms of the NERSA, it will remain, it's 9.1%, and then plus the 1%, which is ring-fenced for the repairs and maintenance. So all in all, then the tariff increase will then be 10.1%. So I just wanted to clarify that so that it doesn't appear that the tariff increase is that 11%.
Thank you, One bill, then.
Thank you.
Barbara.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just for explanation, because I think it is quite easy to get confused with all things that are being discussed at the moment. There is need for a margin, which that margin is used by the municipality to maintain the system. As matters stand, our margin is very low, and we are actually behind what we should be. And that is why the tariff is slightly lower now than it can actually be in terms of the national agreement. I just wanted to try to explain that because we are talking about margins and we're talking about increases of the cost of electricity with the margin built in for the municipality. So it's a lot of things to understand for people in one go. Therefore, I think we should just distinguish that the margin that the municipality is getting is very small. And in fact, it has actually been lowered by option 3 from what it was in option 2, if I'm not wrong, Yanni.
2%.
So the municipality is trying all in its power to keep it lower, particularly to the lower end. Now, I think there's also perhaps some people which might not understand the lifeline option. The lifeline option, Yanni, and I'm speaking under Christian, is basically indigent people and those people that qualify for assistance and free basic service. So those are the lifeline customers. But thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't want to take up too much time. I just hope that I could have helped to explain things a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you, Speaker.
Then Councillor Tabai.
You see, Speaker, when we sit with such items, I would rather officials take off the businessman hat and wear a hat of a servant leader. Because the reason why it sounds like I'm giving a back and forth is that I am told of surplus, which is we're speaking sales. That's not today, and especially when we deal with these with the tariffs. I'm not interested about how much the municipality will be making. What I want to be able to carry and be able to share around, because I account to a community, is to tell them exactly. This is because the news have already announced that ESCOM's increase is actually sitting at 8.87. Now, what does that mean for my people? So I expect when we sit here to say, okay, given the fact that last year we were sitting at this rate, this year this is how much your people in your community will be paying per unit, so that we are able to communicate it as such. And I need us to break it down to its granular, even when we go to these public participation sessions, so that it may be helpful and meaningful for our communities. But over and above that, Speaker, I think yesterday what became apparent and very clear for everyone to see was the rates that we were tabling and playing around. There's not much to play around based on the monopoly around the supply of electricity. While we note the electricity tariffs approved by NERSA, and they may be non-negotiable and binding on municipalities, it is important that we place on record our concern about growing impact of these increases in our communities. In particular, I want to highlight the strain on sub-economic and vulnerable households who are already struggling to cope with the current cost of electricity. For many of our residents, even the existing tariffs are unaffordable, and any increase, regardless of its origin, deepens energy poverty and forces difficult choices between basic needs. Because now our people they're caught between, do we prioritize water? Do we prioritize this? Do we prioritize food? Because they are living below the red line as is. As a municipality, while we may not have the authority to amend these tariffs, we do have the responsibility to mitigate their impact. This includes strengthening support measures such as indigent policies, ensuring access to free basic electricity, and improving efficiency and fairness of our billing system, which would go back to exactly what I raised yesterday. And it's something that I urge this council, that we rise beyond our differences and we come together and we join heads. We did this a few years ago when there was a block approach in terms of buying electricity. We came together because we saw that in as much as it was a council decision, it's not serving our communities any good. Then we went last year into flat rate, if you still remember. Meaning now we can still come and join heads again and decide whether or not those free units are offered to everyone in the sub-economic community, or do we double the indigent profile and whoever else is not on the indigent profile must buy standard rate. These are things that we need to troubleshoot when we come together so that we can work best in ensuring that we do not leave our people outside of this equation. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Anything else to add in this?
Speaker.
Sorry, it was Councillor Tabai. Sorry.
Speaker, you will bear with us. This is a very pertinent item. See, because if we just like
Councillor Annelies wanted to go with the recommendations, we were going to come to this council running because people were going to force us to come back. Now we must think and make up our mind. Now, Speaker, you see, officials really, what Councillor Mangaba was saying is that they only think about profit. This is a public institution. It serves the poor of the poorest. Now, the first question in these tariffs, how are we going to cushion? We must be shown how are we going to cushion these poor of the poorest. And poor of the poorest are not those only people that are given RDP houses. And for that matter, we did a very good job when we said we are moving away from 3,500. We are going to 4,500 because we're also catering for people who are not in that bracket. They were not said to be indigent because they cross over around about 100 rands or more. Now, if then there are tariffs that are going to be implemented by this council, how are we then going to be able to cushion? We, in a layman's term, tell us that if we are going to increase by 10.1% as a municipality, adding everything, how are we going to cushion our people? Because our people are crying now about expensive electricity. Yes, legislatively, we are binded by NERSA, and ESCOM is implementing. And ESCOM is implementing its own tariff. Now, municipalities must go to council and implement. Mama, what is your problem? And implementing their own tariffs.
You keep interrupting.
So, yeah, you are interrupting, man.
I just want to take a break, you can.
The problem is that she is in the ESCOM ward. She is in the ESCOM ward. And we are servicing those people in Ward 7. That is why she is not taking care of all the...
Councillor Kapai,
It was about this.
she is privileged. She sat in Mako. That's why she's being like this. If she does not want to be a part of this meeting, she must step out.
I didn't say anything to him. I just said.
Councillors, can you please be?
No, ma'am,
Yes, when you were talking.
you are interrupting. You are interrupting. You are a speaker, you know that when somebody is speaking, you keep quiet.
Connection, Robert.
Councillor,
Yeah,
can you please carry on because we are only left now with
Now, Speaker, I want officials to tell us how are they going to be able to cushion for the poor to us. Don't end at 3,500. You understand?
Thank you. Councillor Blanche.
Yeah, something that I've written and I want this council to consider it, but I think, yeah, man, it's a pity. I'm thinking about it now, if we can allow ourselves to go to a motion of exigency when we get here. I've written to the municipality in January. And with this coming now, I think as council and the MM can consider the email that I've written, that we suspend partial block because we are busy now with the public, explaining to them what is this. And in January, I've written to the municipality to asking them to suspend partial block. And then we go to the communities and explain properly, because normally this time these things come. Yes, I didn't see it at that time, but we can deal with it under a motion of exigency if this council allows it. But just to respond on my email, because the consumers is going to suffer, and it's already confusing at this time. You see, so hence council can consider the suspension of the partial block, because we're going to be out there in the public to talk to them about the increases of this, and let us give them that benefit until we are also done with this public participation around these tariffs. Thank you.
Thank you, MM.
Okay, no, thanks, Madam Speaker. I think, Madam Speaker, let me provide some clarity with regards to this matter, because I can see we're discussing tariffs, and I think we're also incorporating a policy perspective within a tariff. I think, Madam Speaker, with regards to this is the tariff. This is a tariff that relates to an electricity in terms of the tariff hikes according to NERSA and as well as according to ESCOM. Currently, there is a free basic services, free basic policy, which was then introduced to all municipalities in terms of what is permissible in that policy as a free basic services to indigent. Which that policy talks to about 6 kiloliters of free water. It talks to about 50 kilowatt hours in terms of the electricity. I think currently, from a policy perspective of our municipality, we are providing the free basic services to assist the indigents, including the sub-economic households, which were approved by the same council speaker in the previous financial years. So I think from a policy perspective, council is the one that will decide whether we still want to maintain the status quo in terms of the free basic services relating to the electricity, or council wants now to only reduce it to indigents only in terms of the policy. Remember, councils are allowed to consider the sub-economic households, which is in this case, it is catered for by the municipality. So that's why I wanted to provide that clarity in terms of, so that our discussion is not misdirected to include two things, in the same meeting. So the tariff increase will be effected as of the 1st of July 2026. In terms of going forward. And then the policy review, we're having a policy review workshop next week, the 23rd and the 24th. So such policy where Councillor Tereflans is actually referring to, it will be part of that policy workshop that will be done with councillors, so that councillors can take a position in terms of how this free basic services must then be expanded to the municipalities. So the effects of the tariff, it will affect every person, but there is an assistance that is given by these municipalities, because if one compare with other municipalities, the free basic services, it only stops at the indigent. But this council has extended it to also implement to sub-economic. So I would therefore then also try to assist council in their discussions, so that we discuss this matter of the tariff, and then the policy review will then be entertained on the 23rd and the 24th, which is next week. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. Partly covered by the 18th. In terms of reviewing our policies, it's a different process. It is for council to consider. I think in terms of the relief that we do give to poor households, we've really gone beyond even the 3.5 and the package that we are offering. If there's further things that we can do, we can consider that. But also, look, our customers and the ESCOM customers are basically suffering the same fate. And I understand that, we want to extend our help, which is, we are here to represent the public. We don't want to burden the public, but we must also deal with the realities of providing the service. Because that 11% will be absorbed by other things. There's operational costs, there's staff that we need to pay, there's maintenance we need to do, equipment and all the rest of it that we need to buy, even when we do our electrification. So there's a lot of things that we need to consider when we look at the option. Yes, the word profit might be not the right word to use, because it will sound like we are just We just want to make money. When in actual fact, if we look at our year-to-year performance, and even when we did the adjustment budget, there's a decline. Electricity is underperforming in terms of revenue. So we are no longer making a profit. We are not making up, in fact, we're underperforming. I think it was by 6%.
Yes, 6 to 3.
Yes. So we are already underperforming in that revenue base. So, I understand that it might seem like that is just a profit, but in reality, if you look at our financial performance, we are declining. And if we are not going to build in that cushion, we will run further losses and we will not be able to provide a service to the public. I am willing to say, let us look at when we do our policy reviews, let us look at if there's other measures that we can use to alleviate the burden on the public, especially the poor and the vulnerable. But other than that, I would caution council and say that, look, we are just also in a tight corner with this service because we are running at a loss.
Speaker for
And then Councillor Mangabat it will be for the last time, then we have
Speaker, because of we are going to have a policy workshop next week. Let's give a homework to officials. They must look at what if they increase the free basic electricity to 65 kilowatt? What will it cost? Because really we want to caution the people. Whatever increases that we do, if we do this, it work and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I may be going off on a tangent, but this municipality, this council committed to a trial run on a different source of electricity. I think we had just went out on a tender for solar panels. And when we spoke in depth about those, they were to curb the challenge we're faced with where electricity is concerned. Now, I don't want these projects to be projects that are kept in isolation. We need to see the difference that is made by those projects filtering into these numbers. Because I had expected at least that by now that we have another form of energy or source of energy, we are able to actually see the decrease in actually the numbers. So in as much as you allow me to have this tangent, I really want to actually get to the crux of it. How far are we where that is concerned? And what sort of difference can we expect from it?
Has it started?
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think there was a concern that came, not a concern, in fact, it was more like it says the ward councillors that they need to go and package what we're agreeing on or what we'll be taking as a recommendation with all the things that have been placed in front of us. They wanted to know the whole idea in trends so that they can go and explain, in fact, even the public that is listening to us now, to know what change will it be there. As much that we are obligated to NERSA things and as much that we are trying to consider some of the things surplus how far can we go with which percent, but still, and as how far the crawlback of readdressing the other things in the previous years that we have never kept before, considering the poor of the poorest. So now we are here. And as we are here doing a crawlback, how much will it go and cost to the people in a layman's language? So I wish that we are also waiting to know exactly so that the community must know how much we are talking about when we're saying now we're talking about 12% that will make our surplus to go back with the 2% from the previous one we've discussed today. And also how much when we talk about 9.1 or 10.1, how much are we really talking about
from the previous units we were buying last year. Because that's where the loud outcry is all about. How much now the adding is coming to. Yesterday, we're talking about 26 cents, 0.22 cents per unit. Is there any change now that is coming with this scenario, with this plan trade that we're having? Thank you.
Councillor, yes. We made a calculation again after the meeting of yesterday. Currently, per 100 rand, the units are 32.9, so roughly 33. With a 10% increase, it will go to 29.930. So you lose 3 units per 100 rand.
Okay.
This is on the lifeline.
The units per rand?
It was 33, it's now 30. So there's 3 units differ because of the increase.
Currently it's 3.3 kilowatt on the 10 rand now.
Yeah, it was 3.3, yeah.
Kilowatt.
It's gonna be 2.9 now. On the, of course, the domestic tariffs, we got the basic levy. Increase is higher there. There it goes from 32.32 to 28. 4 units down. Not that fun, yeah. I did that separate. That help.
Yeah, I think that is what the councillors want when we are going to the communities to break it in a simple language that to break it in rands so that the communities can also understand. So councillors, MM?
I think Speaker also for assistance from our councillors in their respective work is to encourage people to register. So this could also be some of assistance that they can actually benefit from, because without us knowing who qualifies for indigent, who are not making for indigent, we will not be in the position to be able to assist those. So we want to assist as much as we can. However, but then we are also, as the administration, making input so that we enhance the indigent process registration, but we also in collaboration with councillors to have those in their respective ones.
Mayor?
Therefore, ask the council, let's go with the recommendation of the executive mayor. Let's got those 4 points in this item. Already.
Thank you, councillors.
Just for confirmation, we edited the dates and the misprints that were done on the document itself.
The public participation. Yeah. The public participation. Ma'am?
It just Speaker, we can include.
Councillor Olivier?
Oh, chaotic man.
We can.
Kapai and Olivier, please.
You're not talking to me.
Speaker, we can on point number 3 as a recommendation that the public participation be conducted with different groups to provide a high-level explanation of the changes and the reasons behind that.
They can't hear, the administration can't take the.
I think what is clear is in terms of the date. So
that's it. Right, it's actually making noise.
I think is that the public participation conducted for the different tariff groups, before the end of the 31st March 2026, which is then we're supposed to submit to NERSA before or on the 31st of March.
Madam Mayor?
Councillor, the branch pointed out the report.
The dates.
Dates. Unfortunately, the signs bring us by the neck.
Thank you, councillors. The item has been proposed and seconded. We are moving now to our agenda, which is urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager. We received none. Item number 8 is consideration of notices of motions, none received. Item number 10 is consideration of notice of questions, none received. Item number 11 is consideration of motions of exigency, none received. In committee, item number 12, we have no in committee agenda today. We are going to item number 13, which is the recording of councillors present. Madam Mayor.
Councillor Kam present. Councillor Nokuzola Kulapi present.
Councillor Nell present.
Councillor Olafide present. Councillor Willemse present.
Councillor Swart present.
Councillor Blanche present.
Councillor present.
Councillor Samkele, Alonqedo, Lamla Mangaba, Inkosi Ward 5 present.
Councillor Kapai, present.
Councillor Mavis Punke Pusake present.
Mavis. You.
Thank you, councillors. Councillor Kabai, I did not say anything when you were saying Councillor Sandy, so Enoch. Enoch, please. Councillors, did that take us to item